3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Hello and welcome to the next Thunderbird 2 Launchpad video. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, and I want to start by apologising. I have put these struts in the wrong way around. The one that I just showed you was in the right way around. This one is in the wrong way around. So you need to make sure that the piece with the gap is the piece that sticks up like that. I have got it the wrong way around. I am really sorry, but I thought I'd start the video by showing you that. Next we're going to move on to this piece here, which has the battery compartment on all these moving parts. This is kind of the main bulk of the launchpad, what will make it move, and this is the motor that will make it move. So what we're going to do is we're just going to attach it onto these 4 holes here like this, using these screws here, and I'm just going to do that right now. There we have it, all done, all securely attached there in the right position. Now you can change the position of this centre part if you like. Obviously it's not going to move too much because that wheel is pushing against it, but it does have a slight give like that. Basically this is the part that will move the ramp and move the exhaust ramp as well, and it clips onto those 2 clips here, and yeah, it's got some slight movement, but of course it's not going to move fully because the wheel is attached and it's hindering it. Now you may see that this is a different camera angle. That's because this piece is so huge. This is the main bulk of the launchpad. As you can see, 1/2 of it is the size of R2-D2's leg. So this thing is huge, and of course this is half of it. Like I say, we do have a second half here. Now to attach these, what you need to do is you need to find these 3 ports on this side, and there's no ports on that side. These 3 ports on this side, and also on the other half, they're on the same side. Now this may seem a bit confusing, but it does work. To secure them, you need to make sure that the sticking out ports go over the interior, the sunken bit on one side, and then the stick out ports go under the indented parts on the other side. I hope that makes sense. So you're kind of overlapping on each side, kind of to reduce that seam that we get in the middle. And as you can see, it is quite tough to do. If I just really, you really got to kind of push it in to make sure it's all secure. As you can see, it's not quite done yet. I'm just kind of struggling here to get it done, but there it is. It takes a bit of fiddling about, but when it does, it all goes in like that, and the seam is hardly noticeable. And then to secure it, you just screw it down into this hole here, this hole here, this hole here, this hole, etc., etc., which I'm just going to go do now. Okay, now that that's all attached, we're moving on to this hole here and this hole here, and what you have to do, you need to cover these holes with this part, B6. Now you get 2 B6s obviously for both holes, so that posh. One goes in there like that, and then you just get the other one, and you know it's exactly the same. You just pop it in there like that, and then you screw that down as well using these screws, 2x6 6mm screws. And that is the holes all covered. Now we move on to this hole here. You do have the same hole on the other side, but we're not going to worry about that one just at the moment. And then again, we need to cover them with B7 parts this time. Now notice that there is an angular part and a straight, more square side as well. The angular part needs to fit this way so that this line doesn't get in the way of it. And once again, I'm just going to screw it down. And I just want to say at this point that both sides come exactly the same, so it doesn't matter which side you kind of cover up it is designed in a way that you can do this to either side. This hole on the other side, that one that isn't going to be covered up, is going to hold the falling down palm trees, which we'll get onto in just a little later. Okay, when you've covered up that part, it's time to cover up these holes as well, and to do that you use these parts here. Very simple design. You just take them, you've got a little peg at the bottom, and they just slot in there like that. And you get the next one. I do exactly the same, just slot it in there like that, and then we screw them in, and when they're all screwed in it will look like this. So that is that hole there. These are the holes all covered up on one side, and you do exactly the same on the other side. I'm just going to rush through this now. And when that's all done, we go to the side where the holes are still intact, they're not covered up, and we look at this square part here. This square part holds this kind of triangle wedge part here. You see it's got a connecting hole and a screw hole. You just push the square connecting hole in, and then you just screw it down at the back here with a screw just to hold it in place. As you can see, it is a little tough to do, but I do get it done. Next you get the ramp with the legs the right way around, and we just slot it in there like that, and you can see that it's got a hole there in the ramp. What you need to do is you need to get one of these metal poles and push it through the hole. This acts as the pivot for the ramp, so it is a little fiddly because the gap is so small, but it goes in really nicely, as you can see there. Just sits in there like that, and when you put that metal ramp in, you cover it up exactly the same way as we did before with these connecting parts. Now remember, this is the side that is not covered up. This is the new side, the side that's going to have the ramp lifting up and things like that. It's a really nice simple build, this. Actually, I know the instructions are difficult because they're in Japanese, but when you get your head around it, the screws go in really nicely. It's all really well molded. It's nice and easy to do, which is great. Just to show you again what we did with the big ramp with this little one, you push the metal pole through the hole here. This acts as the pivot. The little sticking down part we'll get onto in just a moment. When the metal pole is through and showing equally on both sides, you then have to push it into this gap here, get this middle bit into that gap there. Like I say, we'll get onto that in just a moment, but then you make sure that the pole is sitting in that gap nicely, and when you do, once again you cover it up with the exact same part. Just push that in there like that, and we'll screw it down. And you screw it down exactly the same way on the other side, which I'm not going to show you now because we're going to move on to this part here. This is the sticking out part of the mini ramp that we've just done, and we need to get these two black parts here and this metal pole. You just stick the metal pole into this gap here and thread it through the bottom leg of the little ramp, and then let me just zoom in so you can see that there, and then you get the counterpart black part and just push it in there so it's nice and secure. I say nice and secure, just fall off. To secure it properly, we need to get another metal pole and push it through this center part here, so that one goes in there like that, and then oh sorry about this, that one goes in there like that, and then you just flip it around so that the metal pole sits on that little groove there like that. And this also acts as a pivot for the smaller ramp, which you'll see a little later. You get 2.6mm screws again, and we just screw it down first off in here, in the one that will be hidden when you put it on the ramp, in the groove even. So I'm just going to loosely put that in for now, and then get another screw and just tightly screw this in. Sorry that I'm going off camera here, just fiddling around getting this done. Like I said before, really nice and easy to screw in, no problems there with the mold at all. Just make sure that all of the screws are tight, and when they are, oh, kind of struggling here just because the area is so small. When they are all in, it sits on the groove there like that. And this function is actually really cool. So if I just show you here, oh no, before I show you, sorry, let me attach these parts on to secure it. Just screw these parts in, otherwise that'd be really bad. You use the 8mm screws for this, and when I've done that, I'll be right back with you. Okay, now it's all screwed on, I can actually show you what it does. If you pull it on here, it pulls that lever down there, which in turn flips this launch pad part up here. So a really nice simple mechanism. It's really satisfying to do that. I'll do it for quite a while, so I'm going to cut off there and move on to this hole here. Now you remember me saying earlier that these holes are for the palm tree parts. So you just take this hole and you take this part here, which will flip up to hold the palm tree. Make sure you get it the right way around with this these two curved parts facing this way, and we'll just plop it in there. And then before we plop it in there, we need to push in another metal pole. You've seen a theme for this video, metal poles everywhere. It just pushes through there. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but it goes in there like that and fits into these grooves there, like so. So just position it to make sure it's sitting there comfortably, and then we just secure it down. We get this part here, which is a nice kind of bracket part, and that just slips around there, and then we just screw it in into those 4 holes. This one, this one, this one, this one now. And when that's done, we do the exact same on the other side, which I'm just going to very quickly show you now. And with those palm tree parts all in, it's time to look at this part here. Now remember that these are the right way around now because they've got the gap here. The gap is for these wheels. It's textured on one side and flat on the other. I don't think it really matters which way around they go in, as long as they go in the same way. So put the wheels into that gap there, and guess what? Another metal pole, but this one's slightly different because it has got carvings on each side. I'll get onto that plastic part which I just pointed out in a moment. But you just push the metal pole through. Oh, make sure you don't lose the wheel. That is a problem, but it'll be all nice and secure when it's all done, like that. Now this metal plastic part, sorry, that I just showed you, I'd already clipped on. It is this part here, and basically this just holds the pole in place. So it's very easy to clip on because it's got a slight groove in that metal pole. Clips on there like that, and then that is nice and secure. It turns a little bit, but it doesn't really need to, because what we do now is we get the big chunk of the ramp which we started the video off with. And see we've got these grooves here. The metal pole just fits into these grooves there, and when it's all connected to the motor, obviously this is what will push the ramp up. It is a little fiddly to do because it is quite hard to see, so make sure you get it all lined up, and when you do, you push it down. Make sure that all the wires come out of the little hole. As you can see here, we've got lots of different wires. We've got this white wire here, we've got this red and black wire, this green wire and this yellow wire. Make sure that they're all loosely fitting through that hole there, and when that is done, when you find your screws, you screw the battery compartment motor part to the main body of the ramp, which I'm just going to go ahead and do now. And I'm coming to the end of this video. I'm just speeding this up, and then that is all we're doing in this video, guys. So we did a lot. I've rushed through it, but there is still just a couple more steps to do on this ramp, and I'm going to do some customizing as well. So stay tuned for that. It will be in a couple of months' time where we look at the ramp again. Next week there's more Thunderbird 2 parts, so I hope you join me for that. Until then, guys, take care. FAB. Bye-bye. I just want to thank my patrons. Without you guys, this video would not have been possible and this channel would be dead, so thank you very much.